Welcome to the Amy Plus podcast. My next guest is Julie Miles. She is the brilliant designer behind the Julie Miles label, best known for her signature pearls with an edge, paired with luxurious resort wear that screams bold elegance. From coastal Australia to New York City in the mid-90s, she turned big dreams into a global brand inspired by her travels from Bali to Turkey, India to China. But what makes Julie's journey unforgettable is her resilience. As stage 4 cancer survivor, she endured 24 weeks of chemotherapy and a major surgery before being declared cancer-free in 2011. Rather than slowing down, she poured her strength into creating jewelry that empowers women. Pearls transformed into statement pieces that are anything but traditional. Her designs have been worn by icons like Maria Shriver, Katie Couric, and Angela Bassett, proof that her work shines as brightly as her spirit. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the remarkable Julie Miles.
Hello, darling.
Hey, you're here.
I'm here finally.
I know. It's thrilling that you're finally here.
I know. I've been watching you from Palm Beach. I mean, how many podcasts have you done now? It's amazing.
I would probably guess 20.
20.
I would think. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I have like a lot in the bank that I haven't released yet.
Yeah.
But
and
like,
I think
but
I'm
you wanted
going
to be
in the
here.
bank too, aren't I?
You're about to be in the bank. But I wanted you here. You wanted to come for so long, but you've been so busy.
Busy. I've been in Europe. Mm-hmm. Just working with cruise ships and the stores, and I've hardly been at home in the last year and a half. I've just, I come home, I repack, and I go again. And sometimes I'll only be home for 2 nights and I go back. So, and then of course I'm in Palm Beach, you're in California or Texas, and it's just
hard.
Yeah, it's hard to get there, and because you got to allow a couple of days. I can't just come in for the day.
Well, one part of your European travels, it did give you a little downtime because I think you're my biggest podcast watcher.
Exactly. So I watch you on the TV and I can't wait. I sit back and I pour myself a glass of champagne or a glass of wine and I prop myself up and I watch you. And I love it. And it keeps me connected with you. Mm-hmm. It keeps me connected with everyone else. And it keeps me connected with you and Joe.
Oh, I love that. When you tell me that, like if I have a question about one of my podcasts, I can always ask you.
That's right. Yeah. And I tell everyone about them. Mm-hmm. But I've really, really enjoyed the Amy and Joe podcast. And, even though I've known you for, I don't know how long now, but, I learned so much about Joe's life and, how he got started. And it was just so interesting. Mm-hmm. But I liked how you sort of did the bit about FBI and it sort of sounded like, did Joe get into trouble? I'm like, no, of course
he was just interviewed. I do that on purpose.
Yeah,
try to get more people to watch.
It definitely worked.
What you have to do. I know. You're like, wait, Joe, FBI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't put that off. I think I put that straight on and was like, what happened?
So before we get started, I ask
cheers.
All my guests, well, first of all, cheers.
Cheers, darling.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hold on, sippy sip. Julie, what are you wearing?
What am I wearing? Cynthia Rowley. She's our favorite girl.
Love her.
Yeah. So last year I came to your place in Texas and we did a wonderful collaboration with Cynthia Rowley and she was there. And how gorgeous is she?
She's amazing. I just texted her a couple of days ago because I'm going to New York Fashion Week. And so she's having another show. Yeah. And I was like, would love to do dinner, but there's no way because she's like so busy.
Yeah.
But that collaboration was amazing.
It was. And, I felt so honored to collaborate with her and do the jewelry trunk show. Anyway, she came through the door and, first time I saw her and, I felt like, oh, well, there she is. And she came straight over to my setup and just grabbed a big bracelet, a big one. Now, if anybody's ever been around Cynthia, she's tiny.
She is.
She's a tiny, tiny little thing. She's absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. She comes over, picks up this huge, big cuff, sort of like, big like that, and says, I love this. I have to have it. And so the short of it is I ended up with some beautiful Cynthia Rowley outfits and flowers.
Yeah, that's her belt, like her signature flower belt.
I love this.
And what was I thought made the collaboration even more perfect is your jewelry looks so good with her clothing.
Yeah,
like
well,
right now, for example.
Yeah. And
so Julie has all of her pieces on. You can keep going when I say, what are you wearing? Keep going with your pieces.
well, I'm wearing Julie Miles, darling. And you know, it's all about pearls, pearls, and pearls. And of course, you've got my pearls on as well. And, you know, these are my babies. I've hand-strung all of these, and I absolutely love what I do.
Yes, you look gorgeous. And I like how you just put a buttload on. Like, more the merrier.
Yeah, and I get that a lot with people. They'll go, oh, you know, I don't want to overdo it. What do you think? And I go, darling, you're asking me.
No, I love it. So I have, obviously, your gorgeous pearls on, your bracelet. What do you call this lovely long necklace?
So you've got, it's a long pearl necklace strung on silk. It also has a rough cut diamond clasp on it with a baroque pendant. And you can take the baroque pendant off and put another pendant on of anything that you want. And then you've also got the pearl necklace. I strung that on leather. So I get all of my pearls and we have to drill holes in them. And then I string it all on leather. And then you've got a quartz necklace. Where I actually buy the slabs of quartz in India. And I've got pictures of them hand cutting the quartz. And then we set them in sterling silver over that. Now
I probably wear this the most.
Oh, I see you wearing it.
I like the one with the heart pendant as well. But this one's my favorite.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I wear it so much that Kimmy, you know, one of our dear friends, one day she was like, you need to clean that. And because I didn't realize, like, I've been wearing it so long that, like, my hairspray and stuff. And then when I took a look, I was like, oh. And then I cleaned it right up and it was, like, crystal clear again. Yeah. That's how much I wear it.
Right. But it's a beautiful piece of quartz.
Oh, your earrings.
Yeah, the cluster earrings.
By the way, now, memory, I got these at that trunk show.
Oh, the Cynthia trunk show.
Yeah, because you said for hosting, pick you out a piece.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And then I walked right over to these because they're bigger earrings because I'm so tall.
Yeah.
And you go, I knew you were going to pick those.
Oh, I knew it. Yeah, and they look so good on you. And you can actually move those around and change the shape of them. Did you know that?
I did not.
Oh, I'll show you later, love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what else.
You got
your signature ring. So you have is that white gold?
Yeah.
So you have the white gold.
Got
I have the yellow gold.
The
and
yellow
this
gold.
Is literally called the ring.
The ring.
Now you're selling just the silver options now?
Yeah. You know, the silver was just walking out the door, and I can still do the diamond ones, but you know, you just have to order it. That's all. So the one that I've got on is actually sterling silver rhodium-plated. It has 52 CZs, cubic zirconia, which you cannot tell the difference between CZs and diamonds.
Well, don't tell me that because I spent a lot more money on this one. I got the lab-grown diamonds.
Yeah, you've got the lab-grown, yeah. And then it's also got a 1 carat and a 1.5 carat in there. So when you just look at that, that just looks like, you know, a diamond ring, and everybody loves this ring. Now, it also looks really big. It looks like, oh, my fingers are short, I can't wear it. Well, it's not very wide at the back, so you can bend your finger.
I wear this all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I get more compliments on this ring because it's so gorgeous. Like, where do you go from there, right? So I just keep wearing it.
Right. Yeah.
And you do give a discount. I don't know what it is. Like, if they use my code. Anyway, anybody interested in her jewelry, I'm putting this out there now because I am obsessed with your pieces.
Thank
obviously.
you.
Okay, last but not least, I have a Johnny Was
Gorgeous
dress on. I've had this for 8 years. It's 100% silk, and I just love how colorful it is.
It's beautiful.
I don't wear it that often, but I thought it'd be perfect to go with all your pearls, darling.
Yeah.
And then the Valentino sandals, and yeah, so here we are. And I wanted to start off by talking about how in the world we met and crazy. we were in the middle of nowhere. Joe and I were going on an anniversary trip, I believe.
Yeah.
And decided to go essentially on the other side of the world, Sumba, Indonesia. Mm-hmm. Very hard to get to. Mm-hmm. Very remote island. At the time, it was rated the top hotel in the world. And we finally get on that small little putter jumper plane to finally land on the island. And you and one of your besties was sitting next to us. And I find out later that you were eyeing me and my Chanel fluorescent handbag.
We were. And you and Joe got on and we were like, how gorgeous are those two? Like, you know, when you just see people together and you just admire them, and we're like, And, you know, we were, you know, we're pretty well-traveled, and so you really notice, you know, the special people. And so not only that, the thing that stuck out for me as well is that you had these brand new matching Tumi luggage. And it was like you were just all matchy, and you just were so cute. And we were like, look at them, aren't they gorgeous?
I love that.
And then it turned out...
We end up on the bus or whatever together.
Yeah, the shuttle.
It was a shuttle.
It was like a little minivan.
And we... Of all the people, there was only 4 of us, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was a good 45-minute ride to the hotel, and we end up together, and that's officially where we met.
That's right. And we just kept running into each other, and we'd have dinner together. And I mean, it was a big place, but it was not many people. It was all spread out, and that's why it was so special, because you didn't sort of like, you know, you had your own space and that beautiful beach and everything. Yeah.
You know, that was 8 years ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
We've known each other for 8 years. Cheers.
Cheers again.
Cheers. We've had a few champers together.
I know. We're going to have to, we keep cheers in. We're going to have to take a break and go get the bottle again.
I'm Australian, so you're in trouble, love.
So speaking of Australia, that was actually going to be my next question. You grew up in Australia, which you feel free to talk about. What the first thing that I thought of, how odd was it when you came to America? I think you ended up going to New York, but you ended up spending time in Fort Worth, Texas, which is exactly where Joe and I live when we're not here in Laguna Beach.
Yeah. So I arrived in 1996 and I spent 6 months in New York. And, you know, back then New York was a little bit rough and ready. So for me to come from a country beach town, Noosa Heads in Queensland, which is gorgeous, you know, it's beautiful, beautiful place. And then to hit New York City, and I was in my early 30s and I was too scared to go outside. I would stay inside the hotel and, you know, just didn't want to go out. So anyway, I was there for 6 months. And then from there, one of my friends in Australia said, hey, my brother is a pro rodeo cowboy and he's on a ranch in Azle, Texas. Why don't you go down there? I mean, it's so typical Australia. Never met him before. And anyway, I flew down there and this Dodge Ram truck pulls up and it's packed with pro rodeo cowboys, you know. And when I look back now, it was just hilarious. And so I went and ended up staying 6 weeks on this ranch. And these guys were very famous. You know, they took me around to all of their, you know how they have the big stadiums and arenas, and I'd be out the back, and you'd have all these buckle bunnies, you know, like trying to get to them, and I'd be thinking, if you only knew what they were like at home, darling, you know.
They probably were stinky.
Yeah, they were boys. They were young guys that drank Crown Royal and slept on, you know, some of them were saddle bronc riders, so they slept on their saddle bronc on their saddle on the floor after they'd had a few drinks. And
so you know what when you said Azle, so I live in Fort Worth, technically on the lake, Joe and I. If you look across the lake, that's Azle.
Yeah, that's amazing. I did not know that until you told me.
That's a small world.
We need to get in the boat and cruise over there.
I know. You put your feet back on Azle, Texas.
Yeah, I haven't been back there like all that time.
Well, you remember when you and Donna came and we took you guys down to the stockyards in Fort Worth, and we ended up at one of the bars because I think she wanted
Cadillac.
She was like, I have to dance with a cowboy or something. We had so much fun.
Yeah, we did. And, you know, when I stayed with those cowboys, the Cadillac in the stockyards in Fort Worth was the place to go. And that's where we went. And so it was a real thrill for me to go back there and go in there and all the memories. And it was just a lot of fun back then, you know. But I'll never forget the first time that I got out of the truck in Fort Worth. And, you know, I'd never been there before. And I got out, it was a Saturday night. And I felt like I was on a movie set, because you got all these men with their Wrangler jeans on that are, you know, so starched they can hardly walk. Then the shirts are heavily starched. And that back then it was like the Garth Brooks days with the colourful shirts and their big cowboys and the big buckles and the boots. And, you know, I'm like, haven't been in America that long, and I'm just standing there thinking, wow, this is crazy. I thought it really looked like a movie set with them all walking down the street. And it still does, doesn't it?
Yeah, when you get to the
same.
stockyards, they have that really big sign right when you turn in, and they have the same red brick roads that they did, you know, back whatever, 100 years ago. So it is. Anytime we have visitors, we always take them to the stockyards.
Yeah, it's
and the
so
rodeo.
much fun. To Billy Bob's.
And well, you have to go to Billy Bob's.
I got the best photos of us two on the bull. Mm-hmm. That's you always have to have a picture.
You
on
have
the bull.
to do it.
Yeah,
that was so fun.
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking when I was getting dressed upstairs, if I have like a pearl drawer, like just for pearls, and when I pulled it open, I'm like, 90% of my pearls are your pearls. And then the rest of the 10% is Mickey Moto.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, the rest of it's Mickey Moto.
Which is Joe's so nice. He gives me like a piece every, whatever, not every year, but I've collected some of theirs fine jewelry. So I'm like, well, I've got a good. I look at all this Julie Miles jewelry I have, and then I've got the Mickey Moto. Like, where do you go from there? Like, I'm not going to buy any more pearls, but yours.
I don't think you need to go anywhere, love. I think you've got it all.
Your pieces are just like outstanding, but I wanted to ask, what is it about your pieces that attracts so many women around the world?
I think it's the story behind it, really. You know, in 2010, December 2010, I was rushed to hospital and had emergency appendectomy, and at the time thought that this was, you know, just, you know, something that everybody gets. And a week later, you know, they told me that I had cancer. And so it was a real shock to the system, because I was 47 at the time, and, you know, you just think, wow, this can't be happening to me. I actually thought, and I've spoken to people that have been diagnosed with cancer, they've gone through the exact same feeling. When they tell you, my first thought was, you stupid bloody idiot. Obviously you got my test results mixed up with somebody else, because I don't have cancer. So, you know, you might want to go back and check that. And I'm checking out of hospital because I don't have cancer. And it's a tough one to, you know, just accept. But anyway, I was in New Jersey visiting friends, and it was Christmas time. And so I spent Christmas and New Year in hospital, and I, you know, got taken back in for a colon resection, because we thought it was colon at the time. And at the end of the day, I ended up making it back to Park City, Utah, where I lived a month later. And that's when they did another test on me and said, you have stage 4 cancer. And it was appendix, so it started in the appendix. And the same week, I was also diagnosed with an autoimmune connective tissue disorder called scleroderma. So that was not the best month of my life, but out of adversity, something really, really positive happened to it. And at one point there, I had 10% chance of survival. So it was not looking real good, but I seriously lay there and I felt like, you know, if I can get through this, I want to make a difference. And I pretty much just went, please, God, if you let me stay, I promise I will make a difference. I will give back. I will do whatever it is that, you know, I can help. And if I can just help one person in this world, then it's all worth it to stay. And so that's what came out of it. And then it was like running a movie in my head. I lay in hospital thinking about what makes me truly, truly happy. And most people, if you ask them, they'll say, oh, my kids. Like, it's usually like family. And I go, no, forget about the kids and all that. Yeah, we all know that that was a wonderful day when they were born and everything. But what is it that truly makes you happy? Because the kids are going to leave one day and all of that. So what are you going to do? And for me, I ran the movie back, and I got back to when I was a teenager, and I used to make a lot of jewelry, and I absolutely loved it. It was my happy place. And yeah, I've made jewelry since then, but I'd sort of lost, that whole thing. And as soon as I felt what it was like making jewelry, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I was already working in the fashion business and everything, and I just thought, I need to give that up because I'm doing it for other people, not for me. And, it's very stressful, and it's probably one of the reasons why I ended up with cancer. So I got an idea. I ran into a woman in Park City that was wearing 8 pearls on leather with some Catholic medals hanging off it. And I looked at that and thought, wow, that's beautiful. And I had a whole collection in my head. It was amazing. And really, that's how it started. It started from saying to myself, from now on, your life's going to be different, and you're going to wake up happy every day, and you're going to enjoy what you do, but you're also going to give back.
Well, I don't want to actually skip away too much from the story and your journey, because I feel like this podcast is a lot of things, but the number one word that comes to my mind is resilience.
Yeah.
So can you dive deeper a little bit in your journey with cancer? You're lying there and you end up alone, essentially. What happened with that?
Well, because it was Christmas and I'd gone to visit my friends, and then I got rushed into hospital, a few days before Christmas. Well, we just thought it was an appendectomy, and they were all leaving to go away for Christmas. And I said, look, just go. I'm okay. I'll get through this and I'll go home back to Park City, Utah. So they had left, and then I got diagnosed with cancer. So I was in the hospital on my own, and it was hard because I was on my own. And I remember calling Australia from the hospital the night before I was going back into surgery to have the colon resection. And my beautiful, beautiful auntie in Australia, and just imagine, this beautiful woman who at the time she would have been in her 80s, and she used to go on the radio. Remember back in the day when they'd have live people come on and they would sing, a song or something on the radio. And she was on the radio, and she was quite famous in my hometown. And she was so eloquent and so well spoken and absolutely beautiful. And I called her because she had had cancer a number of years before, and there wasn't really cancer in our family except for her. And I called her, and I'll never ever forget the comfort that I felt from talking with her. She was so beautiful and loving and caring, and she got me through that the night before I went in the next morning. But my friends did show up the next morning. They came back from their trip, and one of them was there when I got wheeled into surgery, and it's so important to have somebody there. And he held my hand. But apparently they give you the drugs where you can't remember anything, but you're awake.
I think that's the best part of surgery.
Was funny as hell.
Yeah, you don't remember it.
Yeah. He was telling me later, and I'm thinking, what did I say? And he went, oh, you were so funny. Apparently I was hitting on one of the doctors even. I mean, that was funny. So that was, and then when I came out, my sister from Australia got on a plane. Of course, it takes about 10 years to get from Australia to New Jersey. And she was amazing. She came and took over. But I definitely spent days on my own in a hospital that I didn't know. And
over the holidays?
I was there Christmas and New Year. I was in hospital for 2.5 weeks.
And that was in New York?
It was in New Jersey. It was in St. Barnabas in New Jersey. And then the doctors wouldn't let me fly because I'd had 2 serious surgeries in 1 week, and one being an emergency surgery. So I had to sit for another couple of weeks. And, you know, we went and stayed in New York City until I was allowed to fly. Came back to Park City, and I started with the Huntsman Cancer Institute, which is an absolutely amazing, amazing hospital. It's in the top 5 in America. And I started there. But, you know, that's when it really got serious. Yeah.
And was that... I want to take a very quick pause to tell you about Julie Miles jewelry. I literally wear her pieces 5 out of 7 nights a week. I own so many of her pieces that they are literally falling out of my jewelry drawers. Every piece is one of a kind. It feels fresh, special, and completely different. Julie is a stage 4 cancer survivor. She's one of the most inspiring, resilient women I know. Her strength, her grace, her heart, everything shows up in her designs. I'm constantly getting stopped, you guys. Dinners, events, even just going out, and people always ask, where did you get that pearl necklace? And it's always Julie. So if you're looking for jewelry that's not only stunning, but deeply meaningful, just take a look at her stuff. If you do reach out to her, make sure you tell her Amy sent you, and she'll take amazing care of you. When you had another surgery, and that's when they found how serious it was?
No, when I first got back, they did a PET CT scan, and that's when they found 2 huge tumours on my liver. And that was when they said, you're stage 4. And, you know, it was very, very serious. And then they sent me over to another doctor, and they went, and by the way, you've got scleroderma as well. And so it was really shocking. So they couldn't do the surgery, the liver resection, because the tumours were too big and it was very life-threatening. So they had to get me through 6 like hardcore rounds of chemo that took a few months because I got so sick from it. And we had to shrink the tumours down. And one of the reasons why I'm still here today is that I responded to that first round of chemo. Mm-hmm. And then I went back in and I had a liver resection in May. So it was stage 4, January, February, and then May was when we did the liver resection.
Whew. And so for the audience that doesn't know what scleroderma is, what is that?
It's a autoimmune, and it's a connective tissue disorder. So my body produces too much collagen, and sclera means hardening, and then derma is skin. So people that get scleroderma, some of them die, quite quickly, and others can live. You can have limited. There's all different types that you can have. Now, when you get it, the doctors don't know what type you've got. It's sort of like a waiting game to see. But if it gets into your organs, go hard, and you can die from it. So I have it more on the outside. I get a bit croaky when I talk too much.
Take a break if you need to.
Just drink.
Champagne helps.
Mm-hmm. And that definitely seems to fix it. I mean, as long as we've got something to fix it. So, we've had some scary times where we thought it was getting a lot worse, and then it seems to calm down. And, I've learnt to live with it. It's something that, you have to accept it, because it's not going to go away. There's no cure for it. And you know what? I'm just so grateful to be breathing every day. I got through cancer, and here we are. And it's so important to wake up happy.
We have such a beautiful spirit about you. I think that's why you're so successful, because you've been through so much, and just your joy and your pieces and your inspiration. It's so very inspiring, Julie. I'm proud to be your friend.
I'm proud to be your friend.
Now I'm going to cry.
I mean, seriously, everybody. If you don't know Amy, you are truly beautiful inside and out. Like all these beautiful clothes and all that, forget about that. You are, Amy Sexton is beautiful inside and out. Julie. And I feel very blessed to have you as my friend.
I really appreciate that. Your journey from New York, Fort Worth, where did you end up landing?
From Texas. Next, I went to LA. And very typical, like most Australians, we travel all over the world because we live 10 million miles away from anything. So it's just a normal thing to go away for a long time. So I left Texas and went traveling and just kept traveling until I ran out of money because now it's time to go home. And I got up to New York, back to New York, where my flight was to exit back to Australia. And I called up one of my friends. I knew one person in LA who just happened to be a TV producer. And I said, look, I can't come and visit because I have to go home. I've run out of money. And she said, no, you have to come. I'll get you a flight. And anyway, ultimately ended up in this quite surreal party. You know, it was a wrap party for, I think way back then there was a show called China Beach. Way back then, and it was a wrap party for that. And I'm sitting at a table with all these famous people drinking with them, and they're all going, you can't go back to Australia, you should stay here. And, you know, your friend said you can stay at her place. And really, that's what happened. I called home and said, I'm not coming home.
Wow.
I moved into this amazing home in Malibu, and I was living on the same street as Barbra Streisand. And I used to wave to her every morning when I'd be walking down for my morning walk on the private beach, and she'd be driving her son, who was young back then, because this is 1996. Mm-hmm. And she'd be driving her son to school, and every morning, hi. And my mum would call me going, did you see Barbie? Did you see Barbie? I'm like, yeah, I see her every morning. And sometimes she'd be standing out the front of the house, hi. I mean, she was my neighbour. It was like crazy stuff. And then I'd go to the CBS lot with my friend, Dottie, mm-hmm. and you were just around famous people all the time. It was crazy. So mm-hmm. that's how I sort of started living here.
Wow. And is that when you got into fashion?
No, I was in it in Australia. I grew up in the restaurant business and, you know, worked with mum and dad in the restaurant and so forth, but always wanted to, you know, escape. And I went off and did all of these courses, and I, you know, did an extensive makeup course, and I actually worked as a head makeup artist for, you know, back then they used to have these like, you know, makeup, you know, you go in to get all your hair and makeup done and they do photos of you and all that. And then I went on to work with photographers in fashion, worked with a lot of magazines and so forth. And from there I went on and started up my own business, and I used to travel around rural Queensland with a trailer on the back of my car with dresses hanging up. So it was like a moving boutique. And it was a fundraising fashion show. And so I would come in and, like, you know, we might go, I'd book shows with, say, like the local kindergarten, you know, and the town would have 200 people or 100 people living there. So they got nothing to do. So I come into town and I dressed them in all of the clothes and all that. They were charging like $5 to get into this fashion show. And I'd show up with my boom box and my microphone. And it was so great. And every man and his dog showed up at my show because there's nothing else to do. Uh-huh. And then they would go down to the local pub and buy the booze and they'd sell it. So they'd have a bar there and everything. And they would sell out every time. Someone would have to do a runner down to the local pub and get more booze, and everyone was there, and they would have such a great time. It was so much fun. So I was doing that when I came to America.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so much. And we raised money. You know, they would make the money off the door. They'd make a ton of money off the bar. And then I would sell the clothes at the end of the show, and then I would donate a percentage back to them, and then that's how I would make my money. And then I'd move on to the next town. So I would just book all the places and just do a big circle and drive home.
That's amazing. You're very adventurous.
I love it.
And independent.
And it was me and my dog.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Weimaraner back then, and Soph came everywhere with me.
Like Lulu.
Yeah. I got a little gorgeous Bichon poodle. She's here. She's sleeping right now. She's had a big day. We've been travelling. And, yeah, so it was Soph and I, but that was very rural. I mean, it wasn't outback, but it may as well have been. I mean, we were in places where you just sort of didn't drive on your own. And back then, everyone drove the 5-speed cars. All Australians knew how to drive one. Here in America, nobody knows how to drive. And I did 3 gearboxes in 1 year because the weight of the trailer on my sports car, because nobody's going to tell me I can't take my sports car. I had one of those 280Zs.
Oh, yeah. I loved those.
It was a classic car.
Totally.
I love it.
My car was a Plymouth Laser. Do you remember that one? It was about around the same time.
Right. So I had this gorgeous car. It was all souped up and all that. And like all the boys said, there's no way that you can tow. And I went, why not? And I did. And the first time the gearbox went, it goes clunk. And I didn't know what it was. So I came into the town and stopped. And of course the car won't go after that. Anyway, by the time I did the third one, it was like, oh, not again. And I was way out in the middle of nowhere. And as long as you keep driving, you're okay. You just can't stop. And I drove straight into town, and I got the big trailer, a big box trailer on the back. And, of course, all the cowboys in rural Australia, they're just like, what is going on here? And I get out in my high heels and, I'm all dressed up and everything. And I come in and I put my front wheels up on the hoist in the garage part. And I got out, I said, I've done a gearbox, love. And they're like, yeah, right. Yeah, and in rural Queensland, they're very nasally, like, yeah, mate, how you going? Yeah, like, they sound like sheep. And sure enough, we did another gearbox.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'd check into the local pub and go have a few drinks, and the next day the car's ready, and off we go to the next show.
Oh, my gosh. So the moment you went through cancer and you're like, Lord, if you get me through this, I'm going to make jewelry. You got through it. There is one thing to pray about it, think about it, and then do it. So what was your steps? How did you get started with your jewelry?
Well, it was from what I was saying about being in hospital. Then I got out and, I was really sick and doing the chemo thing and so forth. And for quite a while there, I, wasn't really getting better. And then I saw this woman with the necklace and everything. And because I'd been working in the fashion industry before, I had a lot of connections around the world. And so I just started calling everyone. And of course, they're all like, oh my God, you're not dead? Like everyone thought I died. And I said, no, I'm still alive. But can you send me 200 pearls? I called up Bali. Can you send me 200 pearls? I called up India. Can you send me some leather? And I just started calling around and asking if they could just send me a little bit. I had zero money. And that's one thing that I've learned is, I didn't have any family here. I didn't have a significant other. I really relied on my friends. And, any money that you have goes because you're too sick to work. And anyway, they started sending me, I said, look, I'll pay you when I can. They're like, yeah, no problem. And I started making these necklaces with 8 pearls, and another one had 2 pearls on it. And then I started showing my friends, and they were like, wow, this is gorgeous. And they started buying them, and then they'd show their friends, and they started buying them. And within 3 months, I got a call from the Montage in Deer Valley. I lived in Park City, and they said, we've heard about your jewelry. Will you come up and show us?
How in the world did the Montage of all 5-star hotels hear about your jewelry?
Well, I think
being so small.
Park City, is a small place, and everyone talks. And so the word on the street was, Julie Miles is making this fabulous pearl jewelry, and the head buyer was in town, and they got my number and called me. So I went up, and it was December.
Hold on, I got to ask, what was that like when you got the call?
Oh, crazy! I thought it was a joke. But it was worse when I left there, because I went up there and they said, okay, this jewelry's fabulous and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to give you this big display case in, like as soon as you walked in the front door of the boutique at the Montage, it was this big case. That's yours. We need you to fill it. and it's Christmas in a couple of weeks' time. And, that's their high season. And I was so overwhelmed, and I got in my car and I burst out crying because I was so happy, but then I was so freaked out because I didn't know how I was going to pay for it because everything's on consignment. Most jewelry places, you have to come in and set it all up. Plus I had to go and buy all of the fixtures, like all the collateral that needed to go in for that display. They told me what they wanted and I had to go get it. So I called all my friends and I'm crying, going, I got it, I got my first store, and blah, blah, blah. And I got no money to pay for it. And my friends all came over and started buying the jewelry that I had. I went in, I bought a bunch of pearls, and I sat at my dining room table for 2 weeks, and I filled that whole thing, and that was my first store, the Montage in Deer Valley.
That's incredible.
But then, and it took off. My second store was Montage Laguna Beach, and my third store was Montage Beverly Hills.
So the Montage Laguna Beach, that's where Kelly got married.
Yeah, beautiful. It's such a beautiful, beautiful property.
So when they called you up, did they just kind of assume that you were already successful? Did you have to play the part when you went in to talk to them?
No, they knew that I had been through cancer. And they didn't give that to me to help me. I mean, I knew that they were quite serious about, you could tell they were very excited about the jewelry and all of that. And the whole cancer story was a bonus for them because, they were helping me and I was a local, and the Montage had only been open 1 year at that point. So it's a beautiful, beautiful property. Actually, I was just up there the other day. So, and for the first 3 properties that I worked with being Montage, it was so exciting to be with him. Since then, I've been with Montage up in Hillsburg as well, which is really beautiful there. But at the time, I seriously thought, wow, I've really made it.
I mean,
I'm big. Am I allowed to say shit? I thought, I'm big shit. In Australia, we were so big shit.
Yeah.
And
I was sitting here thinking, because I knew this story, but I didn't realize you went basically from 0 to 10. Like you went straight to the Montage, which I podcast quite a lot of people in the fashion industry, and for you to get the opportunity to jump straight to the Montage, what a big deal.
It was. And then we had Sundance Film Festival, and I was doing trunk shows, and all these famous people are staying at the Montage and, coming into my shows. I mean, I've had tons of famous people. Gwyneth Paltrow, I remember she walked in one day. The Baldwin brothers were hilarious. They would walk around the Montage with their robes on, like as if they were just at home and cruise in and out. That was really cute. But, there was lots of people that came into those shows, back then, for sure.
Were you like, I better get a website?
I know. Well, one of my friends who was living, had come over from Australia to America, and he called me and said, let me do your website. So people came in and helped because I didn't have the resources, to do any of that. So, but one of the most exciting people that came to my trunk show was Priscilla Presley.
No.
Oh, I nearly wet my pants, love. Because, I just think, Elvis Presley to me is, I just think he's, oh, God, gorgeous. I listened to some of his music, and I'd heard on the grapevine that Priscilla had said to some people in Beverly Hills that she really liked my jewelry, and in she came. I'll never forget, she walked in, and I just thought, stay calm. And I tried to pretend that I didn't know who she was. And she stayed for 2 hours. She tried on my jewelry. She was so gorgeous and really beautiful in real life, really petite, tiny little thing, softly spoken. And I never let on that I knew who she was. And she paid for the jewelry. She never, some people will say, oh, do you know who I am? She never said anything. And she got her credit card at the end, and the girl who worked at the Montage in Beverly Hills looked over at me, and we could both go, oh my God, it says Priscilla Presley on the credit card. was so exciting.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, yeah. And that was in the first year that I started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, since then, I know your pieces have been featured on all kinds of magazines, Vanity Fair, Harper Bazaar. Your pieces have been on
Vogue,
Katie Couric,
Maria
Maria
Shriver.
Shriver. Like, that's a tribute to your beautiful pieces.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really exciting when you have famous people, well-known people that enjoy your jewelry and are inspired by what I do and the fact that I am a survivor and that I reinvented myself. And Maria Shriver actually did a huge story on me, and it was on her website, and really, really beautiful story about survivorship and doing what you love. And it was all about empowering women and the fact that I did it with no money and no significant other or whatever. And really, I've done that from making a little, selling it, making a little, selling it, and I just kept rolling it like that, and it just grew organically.
I want to go back to the word resilience. You had a hell of a time with COVID. I remember you called Joe and I. This was in the height of COVID, I remember. And I just remember you saying, I feel like an elephant has stepped on my chest, and you were very scared. You didn't know what to do because the last thing you wanted to do was go in the hospital.
Right.
And you didn't know, but you were so sick that you had to check yourself in.
Yeah. And the thing is that when I went through cancer, after I survived cancer, I was really, really weak, and I've had pneumonia and sepsis 4 times.
Wow.
So at that point in time, I'd already had it 3 times. And one of the times I'd gone home to Australia after getting the clearance from cancer and ended up in the hospital. And it was that serious that, that my family was told that I probably wasn't going to make it. And so I know what it feels like, and it's almost a feeling of like slipping away. It's not fun. And I'd been up in Nantucket. I'd come home and basically woke up the next day thinking, I don't feel well. And this was, a year into COVID, and I thought I'd, escaped getting COVID. And I lived on my own. I didn't have Lulu back then, my little dog. And you can't just call somebody up. If you think you got COVID, you can't call them up and go, hey, can you come over and take care of me? And I lived in a condo building in West Palm, and the front desk knew that I was sick, and they'd called and said, do you need anything? And I was like, no, I'm okay. But every day I got worse and worse. And a week later, it got to the point where I knew that I had the same feeling as having pneumonia and having sepsis, and I couldn't even lift up my arm. So I called downstairs and said, can somebody take me to the hospital? I was desperate. And I lived 2 doors away from the hospital. And the valet guy, who I'll never forget him, Roger, and I hope he gets to see this podcast because he saved my life. And he pulled up downstairs and got me, put me in the car, drove me 2 doors away and got me inside the hospital. And I was diagnosed with double COVID pneumonia and sepsis. They said if I hadn't have made it to the hospital that night, there's no way I would have been alive the next day. And one of the best things that happened to me was you and Joe, because you were keeping an eye on me and checking in. And the best thing that you two did was get me to sign over power of attorney so you could take care of me, because I couldn't take care of myself. I had no family, and I hardly knew anyone in Palm Beach. I was very new to Palm Beach then. So it's not like I had anyone either to, say, hey, come over. And you guys got on the plane, came over. I couldn't see you, but you came over, and you were there every day, and you managed my... I was on death's door.
It was a horrible situation.
Horrible.
Julie.
And you know, that back then it was so controversial about, you know, what drugs should you take. Nobody knew. You know, we were all like, do I take this on it? You know, and the doctors are saying, well, you got to take that one. And we didn't know, did we? And you were there to say, look, we don't think that you should give her that one or whatever. I couldn't do that because I was too sick. And I'll never, ever forget, you know, there's something to be said about knowing that somebody's there for you, even though I couldn't see you.
In the waiting room.
In the waiting room. But the best thing is you used to go to the breakers and get me smoothies.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Yes, my memories of this too is the staff at the time was so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Apparently they took their best nurses and moved them to different floors. And so some of the nurses were foreigners that had never really even been to America. They just got there and they were hard to communicate with. You couldn't get them to respond.
No.
You could get the doctor on the phone. It took hours of effort just to get a response.
Yeah.
Julie, it's so sad to say this, but you would have starved to death. Remember,
Right.
they wouldn't feed you.
The
They wouldn't
was-
feed you.
Yeah.
And you would call me and you text me and you go, like, I'm starving.
Yeah, I was really
And
hungry.
I've asked for my chicken or my broth. That's all you wanted. I've asked for my broth and it's been 4 hours and they still haven't brought it.
Right.
And I remember Joe and I were just like, this is not good at all. And so do you remember I ended up going down to the local bakery and I got those mini cakes.
Oh, yeah.
The bunt cakes. What are those called? Anyway, the mini bunt cakes.
Yeah.
It's a chain. And just got a dozen of them. And I went up to the front desk and I was like, please send these with a nice note to the nurses and just say, you know, this is who we are. And this is, we wanted to say thank you for taking great care of our friend Julie Miles, who's in room ...
Yeah.
And I tell you, Julie, everything changed.
Game
after that.
changer. Amazing, isn't it? Because
What a little
now they're going to
sweet cake will
remember
do.
me because they're getting taken care of. I'm not just a number anymore. And they knew that you were downstairs. I mean, when the doctors, I had those 2 doctors that were coming to see me every day, and your name came up, you and Joe, they were like, yeah, your friends are downstairs and they're not leaving. So we have to deal with this. And that's how it was. Otherwise, they would have just gone, oh, whatever, tell them to go away. And it definitely wasn't the best care. You know, I've been in quite a few hospitals now, and I think I'm a bit of an aficionado on care. And this one was definitely not the best one that I've been in. But you're right, everyone was overwhelmed and nobody really knew, you know, what they needed to be doing. And so the nurses, they weren't happy with their jobs. They were tired. Yeah, but we made it through. Cheers, darling.
Cheers.
We're still here. You know, I keep saying I'm like the ever-ready bunny. Stick a battery in me and I'll just keep going, love. So we made it through COVID, and I think that I probably did get COVID a couple of more times after that, but not like that. I think you sort of, you know, build up a bit of a tolerance. And there were times when I thought, not feeling real good this week.
Oof.
Think
'cause
we
you
might
do so
stay
much
home.
traveling.
Yeah, definitely, especially, you know, this past couple of years being in Europe all the time, working with luxury cruise ships, and I had a store in Paris, and I was going back and forth to Paris to that store, and it's been a really, really busy time.
Tell us more about that. Your European adventures, because I've hardly seen you the last couple of years.
I know, I just pop in for your Christmas party and your 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was like the best party.
That was the bomb.
That was, I mean, I don't even know how you could top that. It was
No.
amazing. And then your Christmas parties are the best.
Those are fun.
I've
And
already
I
got
love
it.
that you
I've already
take the
got
time
it
to
in my
come
little
in.
black book.
I
You
know.
know, December. Yeah. You know, I've been working. I got an opportunity to go and work with luxury cruise ships, and you know, didn't really know, you know, what to expect, and was very, very fortunate that it was sort of like montage. My first luxury cruise ship was Seabourn. And anybody that goes on cruise ships knows that Seabourn is, you know, outstanding. It's luxury. It's 5-star, you know, basically 6-star. And that first ship I set up to do a trunk show, and I was on there for 6 weeks. I picked up the ship in in Venice, and it was on a world cruise. So a lot of ships will sort of do a circle and come back and sort of keep doing that, and they might deviate and then come back. This one just kept going. And we ended up, and a small ship, 450 passengers on board, and every day is champagne and it's food and wine, and you wake up in a new place and you open your eyes and look out and you're in another beautiful, beautiful place. And so we got to go to places that weren't necessarily on my radar. We went to Montenegro, which, wow, that was just gorgeous. And like Croatia is beautiful.
Beautiful there.
But then we kept going and we ended up, we went through the Kiel Canal, and that day was beautiful. We just floated through. Everybody came out and waved to us. It was quite surreal. Estonia was beautiful. And, at the end of the 6 weeks, we ended up in Stockholm, and that's when I got off the ship, and I honestly felt sad. I had made wonderful, wonderful friends. Having said that, there were 70 Australians on the ship. And boy, did we have fun. I mean, so much fun. Just, yeah.
You Australians know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount you can drink. Is there
I can't
something
keep
in the
up with
water
them.
over in Australia that
Yeah,
allows
it's
you?
just the culture.
Yeah.
It's okay to drink too much. It's okay to have, to get a little sloshed. Yeah, that's just how it is. And I think that if you were in America, they'd probably have an intervention. That's what
so
they
funny.
call it here. Yeah.
Well, I know you are definitely an American, but it's so funny, your little things that you do. Like one morning you're staying with us and you wanted, what's it called? Vegemite? I was like, and then you're like, you have to taste this, darling. And I tasted it. I was like, oh.
It's very salty.
You love it though, right?
It's a yeast extract. And, back after World War II, they came up with this spread that's got all of these B vitamins in it. And back then, after World War II, people didn't have a lot of money and they're having kids and they're, trying to be health conscious and all that. So they came up with this spread and they market it as a very, very healthy spread, and you'd, put it on your toast, but you'd feed it to your children, because it's got all the vitamins and everything, niacin and thiamine and, all a big list of stuff. And it became very iconic, but it's very, very salty. You only have a very thin spread. I don't think I've ever met anybody that's not Australian that likes it. I mean, everyone has the same, like, how can, and I love it. And I think back then I always travelled with my Vegemite. I don't do it as much anymore.
Is it in your refrigerator right now?
Yeah, of course. Actually, you don't even have to have it in the fridge. You can put it in the cupboard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So do you have plans to go back to Australia?
I'm too busy. It's a long way. People obviously will call me and say, hey, we're going to Australia and, where should we go? And I'll tell them and I'll say, look, it doesn't really matter. It's so beautiful there. And Australians are really friendly and happy-go-lucky. And if you drink, it's a bonus because, you can go drink with them. But the beaches are beautiful. The food is outstanding. The wine, wine country in Australia is to die for. It really is. And look, at some point maybe I will, but right now, I'm just so busy here in America and working in Europe that there's, even Bali, I used to go to Bali a couple of times a year and I haven't been for 3 years, which is quite shocking, because that's sort of like my first love.
Is that where your pearls come from? Mainly?
Yeah, my pearls come from Bali. But, I have silversmiths that I work with that are generational. So it's quite special to work with these people where their dad and their grandfather and so forth were these amazing silversmiths. And I have great relationship with them. So I don't necessarily have to go to Bali anymore. And they come to America and I meet up with them and we sit down and work on what are we going to do next. And, we'll do samples. And So they do the bulk of my pendants and my rings, the earrings like that. They were made in Bali. So I pick out all the pearls and design, and they'll put it together. But then I do all of the stringing. Mm-hmm. So when I'm at home or wherever I am, I will have trays and trays of stuff that I've designed with pendants and so forth. And I'll just sit there and go, what are we going to put together today? And that's what I love so much about it, because I will do one-off pieces where it's only one and I can't do that again for whatever reason, but it'll be really special. Yeah, you do. Oh,
and
yes.
people will be like, where do I get that?
It's like, sorry. Yeah, and it makes it special too when people come to my trunk shows. I do a couple of really special trunk shows for the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida, and I've been with them a really, really long time, and people will show up the day before. Like, they find out when I'm coming because they know I've got one-off pieces, and they'll come in while I'm setting up. Like, what do you got, Mm-hmm. And that's become really, really special. And those people will have several, as you do, several pieces of mine. Mm-hmm. And you can't...
collectors, Julie Miles collectors.
Yeah.
I remember when... I don't remember exactly how the ring came about. I do remember now. You said a friend of yours mm-hmm. had one similar, and then you got it made. And I remember you wearing it, and I was like, Julie, that ring is stunning, and you should sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stunner, Julie.
Yeah, it's a great one. And I think too that, the ladies that buy my jewelry, they want to have a special piece mm-hmm. that it's not a gazillion dollars, and they want to wear it to Europe, and if they do lose it, they're going to come back and buy another one mm-hmm. type thing, Or then I have my ladies that are only going to wear diamonds. They're not going to wear a CZ ring. So you've got to have, something for everybody. And, everyone's different. I learnt a lot when I went on the cruise ships, with Seabourn, and, I was with Regent Seven Seas and Cunard, the beautiful Queen Victoria. That's a classy old lady, that ship. Mm-hmm. But really my first love is Seabourn. They really are very, very special. And they're, those people have got, they're a little bit older. They've already got all the jewelry that they want, but they want something that they can wear all the time, and that it's just a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely different.
Mm-hmm. Mm. You guys got to check out the ring.
Yeah.
How's it going with your resort wear?
Good. Great. Really, really good on the ships, especially Seabourn. I just had a store on Queen Victoria, my own store with my name out the front. And that store was floating around Europe for a good portion of this year. And we only just packed that up just recently. But, because they are cruising around the Mediterranean and all those warm places, the resort wear lends itself to that. And it's a little bit different. And, they come in, and I think that a lot of my dresses suit a lot of different sizes and shapes and all of that. And, mm-hmm. If anything, really, I just say to women, if they don't have any chest, I go, darling, go to see Vicky and get a Vicky bra, and you'll be good.
I love that. I love your resort wear. I have some of your kimonos.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So do you plan on doing cruise ships anymore?
I've done a year and a half, and I have to take care of my health. And it's really wonderful being on the ships, but you have to be on all the time. And you come out of your beautiful suite, and you've got to have hair and makeup done. And good morning, how are you today? And then, of course, I got Lulu with me, who's this gorgeous little Bichon poodle that everybody wants to own. And we get off the ship to, have the stores not open when you're in port. And people will go, there's Lulu over there. So it's not like you can get off the ship in your sweatpants and just have like an off day. And as much as I enjoyed it, after a year and a half, it was time to, come home and rest. And that was only a month ago that, mm-hmm. I've stopped with the ships. And I've really, really enjoyed just being. I just want to be. And, I have a little cabana by the pool at home, and that's my new office. And I go down there every morning and do my work, and I swim. And it's really important to have downtime. We all lead really busy lives, and at some point you have to stop, and you've got to have a happy medium. And you've got to be kind to yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody gets out alive. And so you've got to take care of yourself, and you've got to enjoy it every day. And it's very prestigious to be working with, the likes of luxury cruise ships and 5-star hotels and all of that. But you have to make yourself number one, because you can't take care of anyone else or do anything unless you are number one. And this is my time. I'm having a little rest.
I love that for you.
And I'm making jewelry.
No.
And I've got so creative in the last month, and I'm so excited. And
you got some new pieces coming out?
Oh, yeah. We got like this one just the other day. So being from Australia, obviously, like the Australians are part of the Commonwealth, and we, follow the royal family. And especially in my era, that the royal family was like big time, and Princess Diana, and we all just loved her, and I'll never forget that day when she left us. But obviously we know that Queen Elizabeth has been gone now for a little bit, and she was an iconic queen. She was around for a long time. So I got this idea to do a coin ring. So this is a little ring. I just got it the other day, and everyone's really excited, and we actually haven't even launched it yet, so you're the first one to see it. So it's got Queen Elizabeth on the front, and then it's all handmade and sterling silver. So that's about to launch.
It's gorgeous.
And I'm actually doing a little pendant, and I'm going to string it on tiny little pearls, so like you have a little set as well. So, and I had to bring this one, Texas, darling. Texas loves this cuff. They love it because it's so big, lots of sterling silver. It's quite heavy, and then it's got my signature pearl cross in there with all the sterling silver. So this is big.
It's Wonder Woman style.
Yeah, there was another one I made where I did the pearl cross, smaller ones on the other side. That actually went to Fort Worth. That was a custom for somebody as well, and so they're really different. And then, I love doing crosses. Seriously, my mum, who's been gone, 2000, she died 25 years ago, and she used to have the keys to the Catholic Church. And I grew up Catholic and went to the girls' private Catholic convent. I was taught by the nuns, and I was a little bit rebellious, and Mum was like, oh,
not
God,
you, Julie.
Not me. And there's no way that you would get me wearing a cross. No way. I was very rebellious, and, I would go to church on Sunday for 5 seconds, listen to the sermon, so I had enough to tell Mum what he talked about, and I'd take off. And so anyway, Mum's long gone now, and here I am. My collection is predominantly crosses. Yes, I do lots of other things as well, but not only that, I do a rosary. So these are all, like the pearls are all the exact same amount as a rosary. I've got the little sterling silver amulets there with the crosses, and then the pearl cross there. So every piece is really, really different. And my mother would be so happy. She probably wouldn't believe it, I don't think. So
you've talked about your mom before, that she loved the finer things in life.
She did. Her name was Val, and I got all of my creativity from her. She used to design and make all the, like the big, I always say vestry, but it's not vestry, what the priests wore, Anyway, my mum used to design their outfits for the church, what they wore in Mass. And that was back in like the 70s and 80s when they were really colourful. And it was nothing to come home from school and Mum would be there cutting and sewing away. And she used to make wedding dresses as well, and very, very creative. And it was just nothing for her to do that. And I know that I'm pretty much a replica of her for sure. So I always say, this is for you, Mum.
So I wanted to talk about charities. I know you're very much involved with that. I have my charity, which is Educate Me for Life, which
So
helps single
wonderful.
moms in high school they have a child and they want to go to trade school or college, and the funds will help the mom be able to afford the education to help improve their lives and the lives of the children. But one thing I really love about it is it's just a few at a time. It's not a large charity. There's nothing wrong with that, but for me, it's just me running it.
Yeah.
And like you literally get to see the girls one at a time lives change, or they might be up to 5 at a time, but that's about it that I'm helping. But you mentioned to me a couple of days ago that you're starting a charity. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so this all comes from, I mentioned earlier on that, I said, please, if you let me stay, I'll give back. And Bali has been a really big deal to me since I was in my early 20s. Growing up in Australia, you'd go over to Bali and, it was easy to get there, it was cheap. And I got to know Bali really well, and the fact that they don't have the resources, it's a third world country, and if a child got sick in Bali, the parents wouldn't necessarily take them to the hospital unless they really thought it was bad. And in a lot of cases, the children would die. And that's because there's, just like anywhere else, there's cancer, of people of all ages get it. So fast forward after all these years of going back and forth to Bali and working with them. And then when I was sick, I actually, in between treatment, I would go to Bali and meditate. I'd walk on the beach. I actually went to a Balinese healer who, I believe that it really helped. And, that's my belief. But I really wanted to give back to Bali. So one of my friends started up a ladies' champagne club. And very, very fabulous. And every time I'd come in from America, I'm saying to her, and her name's Daewee, she's gorgeous. I said, Daewee, we need to, you can't just have women come over for lunch. And, and she owns this wonderful 5-star hotel. So they'd come over to the hotel and all have a lovely lunch, get quite sloshed, and spend a ton of money. And off they go. I said, why don't we turn this into a charity and help the kids in Bali? So we would go to the oncology department and say to the doctors, who have you got that would have a good chance of survival if we paid for their treatment? And so that's how it all started out. And, when I was in Bali, I would come in and donate jewellery, and we would auction it off at the lunch as they're all getting sloshed. And we'd do all lots of fun things. And we'd do things like, we'd have themes, you might have to wear florals and you'd have to wear a dress. And if you didn't, we'd get fined. And there was all these ways of making money to add. And, we would make the money. I would stand up and go, okay, I need this much money for this child. We have to make it today at this lunch. And we did. It was really amazing. But we also had a lot of fun. It was girls coming together and getting dressed up. And so, it was a nice balance. So fast forward, haven't had the time to go to Bali, and, now that I'm home, taking some time out, I thought, you know what, I'd really like to do something where I live. And even though we're a first world country in America, there's people out there that if you've got a child with cancer, you have to be with them all the time. You can't go to work. You've got to be at the doctor's appointments. You've got to be at the hospital. You've got to be there. And it's a huge strain on the families for money. So I thought, why don't we take that premise, I'm going to call it the Palm Beach Ladies Champagne Club. And I'm fortunate enough to be a member at the Palm Beach Yacht Club.
Oh.
It's like a 5-year wait to get in there or something these days. And I thought, why don't we make it very fabulous and a little prestigious and all that? And as you said, we do it small. We do like 20 ladies, and we go in and have a fabulous lunch. You pay X amount, but we want to be able to make X amount of money per month, and we'll get a social worker or somebody working with children with cancer to nominate somebody, and all of that money that we make that month goes to that family to help them pay for food, for bills, to put gas in their car, so they get the money direct. And then the following month we move on and we do another family and so forth. So we're, just been working on that the last couple of weeks, and I'm very excited for the Palm Beach Ladies Champagne Club.
I love the name.
Isn't it fabulous? You're going to have to come over, darling.
When's it going to start? When will it launch?
Well, I definitely want to get it going before the season, and the season kicks in, like November, December. So definitely before then.
So fun.
Yeah.
I've been to that yacht club.
Isn't it fabulous?
It is really fabulous.
I know,
I forgot about it until you said that. I was like, ooh, yes.
It's like my Cheers bar there. Like, I go there and I walk in and, sometimes they don't see me for a couple of months and they go, we're sorry, but this is members only here, and they're like, oh, it's you.
Yeah, I went there. That's right. It was Mookie and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Joe and me, and quite good food.
Yeah, I think it's the best in Palm Beach, actually. It really is amazing. It's got the best view. It's all glass. It's small, but it's beautiful. And I live across the road. Mm-hmm. I can toddle home.
The words you say are so funny. Toddle home.
Yeah, so I love it there. Yeah, I do.
So what's next for you?
Well, I think we forgot about the fact that I think I was up in the Hamptons last month, and I did a fabulous trunk show at the Hamptons Polo Club. Got invited up there, and through that I was introduced to a magazine called Global Billionaire. And they did a little 4-page spread on me.
Wow.
And that's being launched in Monaco. Actually, I think by the time that you get me out of your bank, it will have already launched. But anyway, September the 25th, 4-page spread in Monaco.
What's the name of the magazine?
Global Billionaire.
I love that.
Isn't it great?
So when you hear this, guys, gals, look it up.
Global Billionaire. It's online, and the actual spread is already out online, but it goes to print and gets launched September the 25th.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's a little bit exciting.
Copy?
Oh, I'll definitely get some. But I was going to go, and I've just decided not to because I want to rest.
Yeah,
I don't want to make jewelry. And I think, as I said, sometimes the dog and pony show is, you don't need to go all the time. It's you got to take care of you. So that's really what's next for me. It's been really lovely reconnecting with, my stores, the beautiful boutiques that I sell to, and 5-star hotels, and that's what I want to do is just be.
I feel like that's your happy place.
It is. Really, and coming to visit you.
Yes, more.
Come visit you too. Instead of saying, sorry, I'm in Europe, no, can't come, no. And that's the thing, when you work hard, it's wonderful, but you miss out on, what your friends are doing and all the wonderful things that's going on. So now I'm like, yes, oh yes. Yes, I could do that.
Well, your story is absolutely inspiring.
Thank you,
Absolutely
love.
Amazing. You're a beautiful woman, inside and out, and you obviously make incredible jewelry.
Thanks, love.
And I'm so happy that we met in the other side of the world on the smallest island.
I know, middle of nowhere. Isn't that crazy that we had to go that far to meet up with each other?
I feel like God puts forth those types of meeting for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible knowing you since 2017.
Wow. I feel very lucky.
So tell us, where can everybody find you on all the things?
Well, obviously, juliemiles.com. Instagram is juliemileslove, because everything's about love. And you know, if you just Google me, it'll come up and it'll say all the different stores. Ritz-Carlton in Naples, I live very close. I'm only a couple of hours away from there, and I've been with them for such a long time. They really are. They're like family. I love that property. If you ever get the chance to go, have you been there?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you got to go. Love it. They recently remodeled it, and it's beautiful, and it's like an iconic hotel. Everyone goes there regularly, and I've got a pretty big presence there. I'm in all of their boutiques there, and so it's pretty obvious when you go in there. And you know, there's other places as well. And look, who knows? Maybe I may end up selling some of my jewelry on the cruise ships as opposed to showing up and you know, doing the trunk shows. So that would be something that it'd be nice to do. And I get to stay home and sit in the cabana by the pool.
I love that.
And Lulu's there with me, and we swim and we go for walks, and that's what it's about, love.
It has been so amazing finally having you on.
Cheers,
It's our
darling.
last cheers. I love you so much, and I can't wait to spend the rest of the weekend with you. So if you've enjoyed the Amy Plus podcast, make sure you subscribe, follow, and share, and please leave a review. And as Julie likes to say, thank you, darling.